welcome, my friends. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to our first coffee chat of the new year. We are super excited to be able to bring you today's coffee chat. And I need to introduce myself first, don't I? For all of our newbies, my name is Mary Ellen Wilson. I am your business development manager with Visiting Angels. And Visiting Angels, we have offices in Gaithersburg, in Edgewater, and in Silver Spring, Maryland, and also Washington, D.C. So we're super excited to be able to continue to serve our older adults, even during this crazy pandemic that we are still in the midst of. At Visiting Angels, what we do is we provide home care for those older adults who prefer to age gracefully in place at home, but may need some extra non-medical help. So that is what we do. We send in our angels to help in any way necessary. So one of our wonderful community initiatives is to bring to you our coffee chats, and we do them every other week. Normally it is some topic on aging, dementia, Alzheimer's. And today we have one of our favorite speakers from the Alzheimer's Association, Sheila Griffith. Just a little bit of housekeeping first. Should you have questions, that is wonderful. Keep them for after the presentation, and then we're going to open it up to all questions. No questions are silly. We have about a 30-minute presentation that we will do, and you will get a recording link. So don't feel like you have to write down every single thing that Sheila tells us, because she is chock full of information, and I don't want you to miss a word of it. So that recording link will probably be out by tomorrow. All right, those are all of my housekeeping tips. So today we are talking about healthy living for the brain and body. And is this the perfect time of year, the perfect topic for our coffee chat today? You know, I was just saying to Sheila that, oh my goodness, here we are, week 4 in January. So many of us have fallen off of our New Year's resolutions by now. And of course, as I explained, I was smarter. I didn't start until 2 weeks into the month, so I'm still raring to go. But this is a perfect time to kind of stop, take a deep breath, get some healthy tips, and hear it from an expert. So Sheila, why don't you introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are, where you're from, and then we'll jump right in.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen, and thank you, Visiting Angels. You guys are angels. This is a wonderful service you're providing, and we really appreciate the collaboration, the Alzheimer's Association and Visiting Angels. So yes, my name is Sheila Griffith, and I'm a program manager here in Montgomery County. So I do a lot of education like today. And I was saying earlier to Mary Ellen that I work with a lot of groups like Visiting Angels and like assisted living facilities and nursing homes. People will sometimes call the Alzheimer's Association to get advice about what to do next. I've gotten an Alzheimer's diagnosis, or my loved one has one, and what I want to learn more about it, or I just want to understand certain symptoms about it. And at the end of this presentation, I've got some information on how to reach the Alzheimer's Association and talk about different reasons why you should reach out to the Alzheimer's Association if you've been affected by this disease, by Alzheimer's disease or other dementias. So today's program,
and I have to interject, it is such a wealth of information, even just your website.
Yes.
Especially for the Washington Capital Area chapter. There are chapters all over the country. And I find that you almost go down a rabbit hole. It's like there's so much information. Oh, but wait, I want to hear. Oh, wait, let me read that. Let me watch that video. So yeah, it really is terrific. So thank you for all that you do and that the association does.
Well, you're a great commercial for us. So I'm going to take you everywhere I go from now on, because that's exactly right. That's exactly right. What happens, and sometimes I can just help people navigate our website because you're looking for something specific, like a support group, and we offer many support groups that are virtual right now for caregivers of those with Alzheimer's disease or similar dementia. And sometimes it can be hard to find the right one. So I help people a lot find the right support group. And I really enjoy being able to do that because joining a support group as a caregiver can really help you a lot and help you understand the journey you're on. So
Absolutely.
anyway, but thank you for that. So yeah,
Understand power too.
yeah, it is. And it does help you understand what the next step might be in this journey. So I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen and
Terrific.
just tell
Let's
you,
get into it.
I'll tell you a little bit about these presentations I do are on a PowerPoint deck, and they have some embedded videos in them. So I'm going to play, I think, only one video today. I'm going to skip through some of them just because I want to have a shorter program. These are designed to be a full hour. And it helps to have questions and answers at the end or just talk about specific issues. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started.
I'm so sorry, Sheila.
Sure.
One other housekeeping note. Yes, we will have Q&A at the end, but if you feel like, oh, I'm going to forget my question, just go ahead and put it in the chat box.
Please do.
Or the Q&A box. So either or. Okay.
I put in the chat box, I believe, my email address. If you if you don't have time to stick around, or if you have more of an in-depth or personal question, you can always email me. That's the other part of my job, is to talk to people either by phone or email to try to help them with next steps in this diagnosis, or if it's their loved one's diagnosis. So please contact me if you would like to. So yeah, we're going to talk about healthy living for your brain and body. It's a great January program. There is going to be a lot of things that I cite due to latest research. And you might wonder, well, why are we talking about healthy living when this is Alzheimer's disease? But it all adds up in the end. If you see this program, that healthy living does in a lot of ways start with your brain, and the best way to help your brain is to keep your body healthy. So I will definitely show you what I mean. Today, our overview is to identify reasons for taking care of yourself, list strategies. So we have 4 specific areas that we talk about: physical health and exercise, diet, nutrition, cognitive activity, and social engagement. And you can see this third bullet. When I'm in person with people, I do have a little workbook that I hand out. And I don't have that today to give you, obviously, but I always say to people, just take out a pen and paper. As Mary Ellen said, not to write down everything I say, because you can watch a recording of that later, but you're going to maybe want to make notes for yourself about, yes, let's do what Sheila just suggested. Let's walk 10 minutes a day, or let's cut out sugar, or whatever it is, just to make some notes and to kind of, you could develop your own workbook out of this day, this seminar, this program today. So hopefully people will feel that way.
It's interesting too, Sheila, if I could just say, that is one thing that keeps me on track, is writing things down. And because I love looking at where I've been and where I am, or comparing this session with what I did a year ago, and I was a little better a year ago, I better kick it up.
Right. That's so great to hear. And I think, I was thinking also when you were saying that, during COVID, everybody's kind of had memory issues maybe, or just, you've developed a new routine and it's hard to remember everything. And maybe it's hard to exercise, or maybe it's hard to eat right. Whatever might be the issue or the challenge for you during COVID, it could be temporary. Hopefully, we won't be doing this for much longer, but this is a great way to think about that. Think of it in terms of maybe how you'd like it to be ideally when we're in person, but what can you do right now with COVID, happening, and our pandemic and our stay-at-home restrictions here in Montgomery County. Obviously we are under, those types of restrictions, but So just to talk about aging and health, at all of our all of our programs talk about this, that aging well really depends on your genes, which you can't do a lot about, your environment, which in many cases you can do something about, and your lifestyle, which you should be able to do something about too. And as this slide says, lifestyle choices really can help keep your body and brain healthy. Just learning what the choices are and learning what may be the healthier choice, and then choosing that. And even if your genes say one thing, that you might develop some sort of disease, if you are changing your lifestyle and your environment, you might be fighting that to the point where you can avoid getting that predetermined gene, disease gene. You may still have it, but it may not be affecting you as badly as it could be. So this is our usual Alzheimer's. We love to talk about the brain and what Alzheimer's disease does. So the brain is the control center of the body. If everybody knows that, and we have these neurons that sort of look like tree branches, off of our in our brain and off of our brain stem, and they're controlling everything like memories and thoughts and feelings. And with Alzheimer's disease, we have a disease that is basically slowly destroying brain cells and destroys it in different ways. So if two people are diagnosed at the same time, they may lose different capacity in their brain at different times. So somebody it may affect quickly and somebody may not at all until later on. So it's still a very mysterious disease. There is no cure, and it is progressive. So it works over time, unfortunately. Why do we talk about this? Well, as I said earlier, there is that heart-brain connection, which I think we all know. And the best way to really help your brain is to continue to have your heart work and operate at its best. So the brain needs blood flow. So anything that's affecting blood flow, which could be something wrong with the heart, something just somehow, blocking blood flow in any way can really affect our brain function. So you can see on this slide, 25% of blood from every heartbeat goes to the brain. So you can imagine if that is not happening, if the blood is not reaching the brain, it does some damage. And so keeping your heart healthy, like all the commercials say, for oatmeal or whatever else it is,
Yeah.
it's important. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of truth to that. So just a quick overview about dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So that, as I said before, Alzheimer's disease is a progressive brain disease. It has dementia as a symptom. In one of our other programs, we talked about how dementia is sort of like a giant umbrella, and it has a lot of dementia causes a lot of different things like trouble with memory, trouble with thoughts, and trouble with thinking and planning, and just basically starts out slow and progresses. It's not a normal part of aging, and it really is the most common disease that dementia is a symptom of. So some of the other diseases, and Alzheimer's disease is under that giant umbrella, that dementia umbrella. Some of the other diseases besides Alzheimer's disease are vascular dementia, Lewy bodies dementia, even Parkinson's is under there, as Parkinson's can have dementia as a symptom. There's other symptoms obviously too, but dementia is one. So some of the known risks for Alzheimer's disease: age. As we age, our risk for Alzheimer's, developing Alzheimer's increases. Genetics has a lot to do with it, as we probably know. Head injuries can really make you more at risk. And as we're going to talk about today, cardiovascular factors, not having a healthy heart. And in some cases, they say more formal education can help you have less of a risk for Alzheimer's. So we'll talk about that a little bit too when we talk about cognitive issues. And there is no cure, as I said earlier, for Alzheimer's disease, unfortunately. Part of our mission at the Alzheimer's Association is to find a cure, but also even to find better treatments for treating the symptoms. There are drugs right now that can treat the symptoms of Alzheimer's, but nothing cures it, nothing prevents it. And in some cases, it doesn't even slow it. It goes on its own pace no matter what we do. So trying to prevent it altogether with some of these ideas that we have today is really a good idea, is a good way to really try to avoid it as much as possible.
Prevention. Yeah.
Prevention of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about 4 areas today. So those areas are, as you can see, are 4 pieces of our pie here: health and physical health and exercise, social engagement, diet, nutrition, and cognitive activity. And we're going to go through these 4 areas. And as we do, maybe I hope you've gotten a pen and paper just to make your own notes if you like, but maybe think of one thing. Now, we're going to talk about 4 areas, and you could have many things in all 4 of these areas. If you're a real high achiever, you want to, take care of everything I say today and do them all by tomorrow. If that's realistic for you, terrific. But most people, I just say, just pick one thing, one area that I talk about, and one thing in that area, and then try it. And then maybe go to another one in either that area, because we're going to come up with a lot of different interventions that we can do in these 4 areas. And I'll show you what I mean. So the first one is health and exercise. And now we hope we all know this, but that we really need to get moving is basically what this slide is saying, that regular and vigorous exercise leads to increased blood flow and other physical benefits. And physical activities, it's undetermined what kind of benefits you can get from physical activities. And one of the things we say, and now this slide says regular and vigorous exercise, but even if you're doing just regular exercise, doesn't have to be super vigorous to start with. Some research says just 10 minutes a day, take a 10-minute walk, or and some people say, I don't know about you, but today is kind of looks a little yucky out there right now. Maybe it'll be a little bit better later, but even just walking in your home, then on a day like today, if you can do that in an area that you can walk safely, or even just another thing is lifting weights, just hand weights or anything. Do that for 10 minutes. That's a regular exercise. And if you don't have weights, we always say, you can go get 2 cans of soup or something, just to do something that you don't normally do. Maybe a few push-ups if you're really, physically in good shape. But anything that it can start your regular exercise today. So there's no single recipe, as this says. I think everybody has a different level of what they can achieve in their exercise program. And so, I just skipped that video because I'm saying what he said basically, which is start small. And on this slide, you can see, pick something you like, start out small, and move safely. So you may not like to lift weights. You may really like to walk. I have a dog who also, everybody who has a dog knows this, or a cat too. They get overweight just like we do. They need exercise just like we do. So this is what I tell myself when I don't feel like walking, because I usually like to walk, but if I don't feel like walking, I say, you know what, but the dog needs to walk. I don't want him to get overweight just because I don't feel like walking. So that's kind of how I keep myself in check. But whatever you want to do, think of something.
Yeah, whatever it takes. I love
Whatever.
that. You're a good dog mommy.
Feel sorry for your dog and do that. Yeah, nobody else feels sorry for my dog but me, but I do, and that's it. I always say it's going to benefit both of us. And but try to move safely, try to get your heart rate up. Now that's going to be the real key, is getting exercise that does raise your heart rate. So if you're starting out small and we're just going to experiment and we want to just start this either to walk or maybe lift weights or whatever it is, where maybe you have a bike machine at home and you're just going to start out slowly on that. Go ahead and just see how you do. It doesn't have to be this, miraculous thing that you start and your heart rate, gets up to right where it has to be. But think about that. That is what you should be striving for, is to get your heart rate up, doing it to a point where you are making it a little more vigorous than maybe how you started. Here's a great advice: ask friends to join you. So my dog joins me, but if you have friends join you, those people can also maybe keep you in check and help motivate you, we all need to walk. We're all, wanting to do something physical. And so let's go ahead and do it. Always check with your doctor before you start any kind of vigorous new exercise program. Make sure it's safe for you. And if it's not safe for you, get some advice from your doctor on what you can do safely. So what are some things that,
I
oh, go
could
ahead,
just interject here.
please.
It's interesting that it seems like the hardest part of an exercise plan is actually putting your shoes on and going and doing it. It's like that
Sometimes, yeah.
ramp up to it. One suggestion that I heard recently that I thought was marvelous, especially during this time of year, especially during COVID, if you are becoming a couch potato in front of your TV, challenge yourself to every time there's a commercial, rather than sit there and flick through the commercials, stand up and just march in place. Start
That's a
marching
great,
in place until the
great
commercials
suggestion.
are over. At least you're doing something. It's that small little bit to get you going.
I
Yeah.
think that's a great suggestion, and that's a really great way to start out small.
Yeah.
And think about it. I don't know about you, but we have all been probably watching a little bit more TV, a little bit more Netflix, whatever. Even on the computer, there's so much virtual stuff happening now. There's so many exercise programs. There's chair exercise, there's yoga. There's so many things you can do physically that you can just find online on your computer and do for 10 minutes. Just do it for 10 minutes and see. I love the commercial thing though. So if you're watching regular TV with commercials, that's a great way to keep yourself active and busy. But just try to find, that's an idea, is just to try to challenge yourself in that way. Even if you're watching the news or something, giving yourself that physical activity can really relieve stress even, but also, improve your physical health. So here we know all these things, I think, on this slide. Stop smoking, avoid excess alcohol. Here's a really difficult one: get adequate sleep. So hopefully during COVID and this pandemic, maybe the one bright spot is I've heard people say they are getting more sleep than they used to.
True.
So yeah, hopefully you are. But with an adult does need, at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and most of us don't sleep that much. So try to think about that and try to figure out ways to help yourself sleep better and sleep longer. It will definitely benefit you. Avoid head injury, of course, at all costs. We said that earlier, that there is a correlation between past head injuries or concussions and having Alzheimer's disease later in life, so that there is a correlation there. Um, these two bullets, manage stress and treat depression, are really important. If you're not managing your stress and then you're throwing yourself into an exercise program, and if you're not treating your depression and you're just, trying to, run around like a, trying to make yourself happy, or try to lift your mood, sometimes you really need to talk to a professional about these things. So if you can't manage your stress and you think you have depression and you've not been treated, please talk to your doctor about these two things. They can be managed so that it helps you when you do start a physical health and exercise program, that you've gotten those two things out of the way, that those two things are being managed, and you're in a frame of mind, sort of like we said earlier, that you want to exercise, that you want to improve your health. So oh, and especially now during the pandemic, we've seen much more stress, much more depression. So please visit a doctor and talk about those things, and make sure if they don't bring it up, you bring it up. I'm not feeling myself lately. I'm a little low. So these things being treated can help you feel motivated to exercise. Another thing we know to talk about with our doctor is monitoring our numbers, we call them. So blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, cholesterol. These are all things that the doctor is probably asking us about, or the nurse who comes in first to do some of these checks. So make sure that there's a conversation and then a discussion at that point about how to start an exercise program, or how to lower some of these numbers if they're too high. So your doctor, sometimes you don't want to hear it, how your weight's gone up, or how maybe your cholesterol's up, or your blood pressure, but face the conversation and really have the conversation so that you can do something. You have to do something about you. So you can control these things with your doctor's help. we always say. So that's physical health and exercise. Definitely see the doctor if you have any of those high numbers or anything that may stop you from exercising. And start out slow if you do have things that start you from exercising. But one of the other pieces of the pie that goes hand in hand with our health and exercise is our diet and nutrition. Now, this is always a good one for everyone. Everybody likes to hear about this, I know, right? So I'm being sarcastic because I know, we're all eating things probably we shouldn't. Even before the pandemic, we were doing it. But a lot of people I've heard are eating even more now. But hopefully you're thinking
COVID-10,
about it.
the
What's that?
COVID-10 or the COVID-20. That's
Or
a
the
thing.
COVID-19, yeah, and then, or more. I don't.
Yeah,
I've been like up and down. I feel like it
me too.
happened, and then I tried to stop it, and then it happened again, and I'm trying to
Me
stop
too.
it again. So anyway, this slide, I think everybody knows this. Nutritious food is definitely fuel for the brain. But look at all these diseases that we can really try to reduce our risk for by just really looking at our diets and how we're what our nutrition is like. So we can maybe reduce the risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and diabetes. All of these diseases just by thinking about these four things that we're thinking about today. But really, diet and nutrition are the two most important. Somebody said to me one time, and this is what the latest research has shown, what's the most important of the four? And we start with physical exercise because that is the most important, believe it or not. I mean, second most important, I think, is your diet and what you're eating. But research shows if you just do one thing and just do the physical health and exercise, thinking of something you can do to start out small, that can give you the most benefit. You want to do everything that I talk about today. You should strive for that. But really, the most important thing is to start out small and really think, if you're not doing anything, really think physical first. But look what our nutrition and our diet can do for us, can really put us at reduced risk for so much. We have a dietitian here with the Alzheimer's Association, and she's one video I do like to keep into this program because I think what she's saying really hits home.
Foods that have been shown to lead to healthy aging would be fruits and vegetables, and in particular, green leafy vegetables and berries, as well as limited intake of high-fat food items that you get through high-fat dairy and cheese and red meat.
So she just talks about the research shows green leafy vegetables. Probably we know this, but just in case, a lot of berries. Berries really have so many antioxidants that are helping us in our not only our brain health, but the blood flow for our brain health. So eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, whole grains. And using olive oil instead of like other kinds of oils can really benefit us nutritionally. Oh, and lean meats, fish, and poultry. So less red meat and more lean meats, and even more of a vegetarian diet. There's two diets that the Alzheimer's Association talks about. And in research, it really shows to benefit us nutritionally. We've heard of the Mediterranean diet, probably. So this is a diet that's really has everything under the eat column. A lot of fish, lean meats, a lot of olive oil, and a lot of vegetables going along with it. The other diet is the DASH diet, which is, I always forget, it's the diet for approaches to stop hypertension. So the DASH diet is a low salt diet specifically for people who have hypertension. And this is just a healthy eating plan. If you wanted to look up either one, Mediterranean diet or DASH, DASH, these can be, why follow just one thing? You look at this slide, you research some diets, and then think about what you can do. I mean, look on this slide. One thing you can do is stop eating fast food, or you can stop eating processed food. Sometimes it's hard, especially when you don't have free, reign to go out to any grocery store you want or any farmer's market, or, it might be hard to get some of these more nutritional foods, but think about it and think about the things you can do, and on this list. One of the things I said, what about just eliminating sugar from your coffee in the morning? It's hard, but what about trying it? What about eliminating any added salt to your diet? When you cook, don't use salt at all, and see how it goes. Try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks. This can be a big change for a lot of us if you use a lot of salt or a lot of sugar in your cooking or in your daily routine. And know that avoiding it can help you and help you be heart healthy if you avoid those things. So,
It's
and then, oh, go
great.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say about sugar. It's crazy how sugar shows up in everything from ketchup to tomato sauce to you
Yes.
name it. Sugar is in it, even in your spices. Many
And
times there's
same
sugar in
thing. Yeah,
it.
same thing with salt. There's
Yeah.
a sodium or salt in everything. And I think I eliminated putting sugar in my coffee about 2 years ago. And I think when I started doing this program, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Why am I putting,
Yeah.
I love my coffee. I love the taste of that, but why add sugar when you're getting it in so many other ways?
Right.
And then one time I went through the drive-through and I got coffee with sugar in it. I didn't order it, but it came by accident. And I took a taste of it, and oh my gosh, it tastes like the best coffee I ever tasted because it had sugar in it. So anyway, what a treat. But
Sad but true. Sad
yeah,
but true.
very sad. I
But
enjoyed
still
that cup,
avoid
and
it.
then
We know
no
it's
more after
delicious,
that.
but still
Yeah.
avoid it. Yeah.
This coffee is the best coffee I've ever had. So, but try to, that's a small thing to try to do, or just cut down on the sodium that you're eating. Reading labels, as you said, read labels more often, and then just becoming aware of how much salt or sugar you're actually eating can, I think, really just help you in figuring out what to do next and how to eat more healthy. So one thing we always get for the Alzheimer's Association also, and especially when we talk about dietary interventions, are what about all these dietary supplements, vitamins? What can we take? What should we take? And of course, we're not going to make a recommendation today. The person who should make a recommendation for you is your doctor. And so that person working with your doctor, figuring out if you need some extra vitamins or if you need some dietary supplements. A lot of times people take dietary supplements because they're not eating well or they're not getting enough nutrition from what they eat. So sometimes figuring out and fixing what you're eating can help you eliminate these dietary supplements, sometimes not. So please work with your doctor about that and make sure, just don't buy whatever you see on the commercial that tells you it's going to improve your brain or improve anything. Don't just go out and buy it. Please talk to your doctor first before you buy anything or take anything on your own. It's always good advice. So
Definitely.
That's our diet and nutrition. So just think of one thing maybe you can do, to change your diet and nutrition if that's something you'd like to try. The next one is a little more fun. It's our cognitive activity. And the last one, social engagement, is definitely fun. But cognitive activity, I think, is a lot of, it's good information and you could make it fun. So we're exercising our body and we also have to exercise our brains. And so keeping our mind active can help form new connections among brain cells. And, any kind of cognitive activity with physical activity just increases our blood flow. So think of some mentally stimulating activities that may possibly improve your cognition. Well, how about dancing? Dancing is something that, learning dance steps, remembering dance steps, you're also going along and doing a physical routine with it. So that's a great way to just be stimulating yourself in two areas, which is cognitive and physical. But even if you're just doing the cognitive, things like formal education. Taking a class right now during COVID can be so beneficial to your brain. Learning things like a new language is one of the most difficult things an adult can do, learning a new language, and can really stimulate your cognitive activity. Can you guess what the other activity is besides learning a new language that's good for you to really stimulate the brain? It's not fair, I'm putting you on the spot. It's learning a musical instrument, or starting to play a musical instrument if you've never done it before, or learning a new one. So reading music and then playing the music can be very challenging, and then therefore cognitively stimulating. So those are really difficult ones, maybe learning dance steps, learning a new language, and learning musical instruments. But if you really want to kickstart your brain, if it's been in a little bit of a coma, those are things you should really think about, or just taking a class that really challenges you.
Well, and in today's day and age, we have TikTok. And TikTok is all about the dance moves, and you're getting your physical exercise in, your cognitive exercise in. It's a win-win. Even though I'm not on TikTok, but that's what they tell me. So,
I was going to say, I want to see that. Can I see your TikTok?
I know I don't have
that.
a TikTok, but from what I've heard, it's all about the dancing, etc. One thing that I have done that I will suggest also, because I do love it, it's not physical activity, but it is cognitive, is masterclass. So I joined masterclass that you see advertised all the time if you're on Facebook or whatnot.
Yes.
And it's, like Gordon Ramsay teaches cooking, or, I can't even think of any other examples, but fascinating to learn, and, interesting stuff and fun.
I think that is a great example. You can do it now during the pandemic, and it's virtual, and it's still going to be stimulating. There's so many virtual like museum tours and different things that we can learn about art. We can learn about, that is just learn about history. Those types of things might be easy for some people, or very enjoyable, but it's still building some cognitive brain cells there, helping the brain cells. The key is to really challenge yourself. So with that master's class, I love that idea. That's a great way. Find something that you're not good at on there, and then try to become, try to master it, is a great idea. So try to learn new skills or hobbies, do puzzles. People usually tell me when I'm in person now, I'll ask, what does everybody do? And everybody does Sudoku, they do crossword puzzles. Try to play, learn how to play chess, some card games. People tell me I don't play bridge, but bridge is a very challenging card game. Apparently, if you look into the rules of it, you're memorizing cards, and you're looking at what you think each person. There's 4 players, so what each the players, the 3 other players that you're playing against, you're pretty much trying to figure out their cards and remembering their cards. So that can really challenge the brain, like chess does. And even books and articles, and even on Netflix. We were talking earlier, watching TV. It doesn't have to be a reality show or anything like that. May not challenge us, but there's so much on other channels that can really help us learn, and learn new facts, or learn a new hobby. It can really benefit us cognitively. So if you have any other ideas cognitively that you're doing, I'd love to hear them in the chat. That's something that, we always come up with 1 or 2 new ones that nobody's ever thought of. But Mary Ellen, I like your master's class. So that's one people haven't told me about, but I know people are doing that. So hopefully, that's something people will look up if they haven't heard it before.
And there is a fee involved. So it's not free like some of the other items that you mentioned, like touring the different museums and art galleries. So there is a fee involved, but it was pretty
good
nominal.
point. And people always ask me too, what are the good, are there good brain game apps? So these are apps on your phone now that, sort of advertisements for them. And I always say, we don't endorse any one, brain game app, but anything. You can play solitaire on your phone. You can play word search on your phone. Those are stimulating you. There's another one. Oh boy, I'm blanking on the name, but it's an app that you have to pay for also, and you can learn a foreign language, a second language. So it gives you like a word a day or a sentence a day. So anything that can help you,
Wow.
an app like that, and it's up to you, whether or not you want to pay for it, because there's a lot of free apps there too, and free virtual online,
You can do everything online
activities you
now.
can do. But
Mhm.
social engagement is our last piece of the pie, and it's exactly what you might think about. It's just being social instead of being alone. So research shows that people live longer and have more of a fuller range in their life if they are involved with other people or in some way social engaged. So it can lead to fewer disabilities and just more stimulating to you in general. I think cognitively and socially, being connected to other people or things in your community can really help you in a lot of different ways. Look at the second bullet, maintaining skills. So I've heard of a lot of teachers who retire and then become tutors. And this is such a wonderful community involvement activity. You're giving back to the community. But as a tutor, you're having to remember those things. Maybe as a teacher, you mastered, but now you're remembering those to tell somebody that you're tutoring later when you're retired. And of course, you're really building a relationship with that person you're tutoring. So that's really a great activity that you can help you stay socially and mentally active. There's a lot of others in our community, even online, even virtual. There's ways that we can tutor virtually. We can, but even to a lot of people who are in need, especially the elderly, even making phone calls to people so they're not as lonely. Or
Yeah.
it's hard to visit, but a phone call can
Yeah,
help.
this is the area I think of the pie most affected by COVID. Because
Hmm.
it's one thing to be virtual, it's another thing to be in person with someone. And this is where I really worry about our older adults and feeling so isolated. We are at Visiting Angels. One of my tasks for this year is starting some, I hate to call them support groups, but just groups of clients that might want to meet up virtually once a month or once a week or whatever the case may be. We also just started telehealth as a component of our safety monitoring is they can have phone calls once or twice a week or however many times they want really, and just chat and be social with someone other than family. So this is the piece of the pie that I have to say during the current environment worries me the most, the social
And
engagement aspect.
you're absolutely right. And I think that's why it pays to remember whether you're a professional caregiver, maybe with like Visiting Angels, or you're a family member caregiver, that social piece is going to be lacking. And so what can we do to maybe overcome it? So I love what you just said. I think that professional caregivers coming into the home, realizing that this is a person who is socially isolated at this point, and you may be the only person they do see, either by phone or by Zoom or even in person if you're there giving care. So, and we've seen exactly what you described. Not only the person with the maybe the diagnosis like Alzheimer's disease or whatever, but the caregiver as well. So if you're a family caregiver and you've been home alone together, you're probably one of the most stressed out people around in the community now, because you're trying to do all four of these pieces for your loved one with a diagnosis like Alzheimer's disease. And boy, just doing one of these pieces for somebody else is difficult. So getting help with that for somebody coming into your home and helping, I think is really something people should consider, and that there's safe ways to do it. And at least to really give the social some thought and how we can increase the social. So I think people have done that a lot too. I've heard of a lot of family Zoom calls and, family meals over Zoom, and just understanding that
Holidays over Zoom. We did
yeah.
our Christmas Day was over Zoom with my family and my mom who's in Florida. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? It's so that phone call or that Zoom call becomes more important, as important as maybe an in-person visit used to be. And just remind the person that this is temporary. We will get back to normal eventually. Everybody who wants to be vaccinated will get vaccinated eventually, and we can start, I hope, to have more of what we see on this slide, visiting in person, engaging with others, not trying to find all these ways to engage, but actually being able to do it naturally.
Yeah.
But we still can do some of these things. We can still stay involved in the community. We can still join a group or a club virtually. You mentioned, Mary Ellen, support groups, and I think that is the most important thing a lot of caregivers can do, as well as people with a diagnosis who join groups with others with maybe the same diagnosis, who you can touch base with and have some sort of social interaction that is a safe way to have fellowship. It's important. A lot of people might say also their church, they're involved in their church. So a lot of churches are online and are not only putting services online, but also a lot of these groups that normally, you could join any of these groups so easily. Now you kind of have to really look and figure out which one's virtual and what can I join.
Yeah.
So keep it in mind. I love your ideas, Mary Ellen. You're really, I do want to take you on the road, and
Well, I want to take you on the road too. Thank you for your plug as well.
You are perfect in talking about all four of these areas. So as I said earlier, just try to think, this is not an overwhelming program. This shouldn't be an overwhelming program. This should be, hey, I never thought about how important social engagement was, or I never thought about, I'm not really doing enough cognitively, or I want to change my diet, or I want to be more physically active. That's what this program is designed for, is to keep these things in mind, to get moving, eat right, keep your mind active, and stay connected. And if, as I said earlier, if you're a real high achiever, try to do some activity that involves all four areas, so we're physical exercise like dancing, but we're also cognitively helping our brain because we're trying to remember the steps, or hey, we can teach a second language to someone else. Now that's social and that's also cognitive. Or teach somebody how to cook. There we go. And then
very ambitious.
Just think about it, really. And I think that you can achieve one or many of the things we talked about today. So again, just begin today if you can. Start small. Try to think of something that you enjoy. Make healthy choices. Make a plan eventually, and get support from others. Try to involve your family who are also probably at home, either with you or in another place. And of course, as always, to have fun. I'm going to go ahead and get to here's my slide just to say, these are some ways to get in touch with the Alzheimer's Association. Our website, alz.org. Our helpline, which you can see there, is 800-272-3900. It's a 24/7 helpline, can do everything from answer questions about the disease or about what you may be going through, to people also ask for assistance and resources in their area. So you call this 800 number, and very often, if you need resources in your area, say in Montgomery County, they connect you with a program manager like me, and then we can talk about what resources you need to tap in. As you said earlier, Mary Ellen, our website has everything for training, for ways to find your own support group if you'd like to do that, or more education is on there. And so that's it. And if you need help navigating the website, I also say, email me or call me, and I can kind of give you some shortcuts if you need them, and would be happy to do that. So that's our presentation.
Let's leave that slide up if we
Okay.
can during our Q&A, because I think this
Sure.
is a really good one. Alrighty, and let's take a look at some of what we have up here. Righty. So it looks like Susan Rannick is giving us some information. Oh, this is
Good.
hilarious. So Dr. Steve Simmons, MD, says to avoid crap.
Crap. Oh,
C is for carbs, R is for refined sugars, A is for additives, and P is for processed food. What a
I
great
like that.
remember that.
I
Yeah.
am making a note of that. I like
I
that.
know. I like that a lot. So it's carbs, refined sugars, additives, and processed foods. I think that about sums it up. One question that I have, Sheila, when you were talking about, moving, make sure you get some movement in during your day. It does affect blood flow to the brain and has an effect on cognitive issues. So I'm just wondering if this is reversible. So implementing movement now, will that help if you've been sedentary for the past
Mhm.
several years?
That's a great point, a great question, and the answer is yes. So your doctor will tell you this, that go ahead. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what you weigh now or what your cholesterol is now, but you can start now to. This is the intervention. This is the time to do it. They say that things like obesity in our mid years, hypertension in our mid years can be so detrimental to developing diseases like Alzheimer's disease or heart disease or any of these diseases, that diabetes that we talked about earlier. So starting now can only improve our chances for the future. So yeah, they're whether it's reversible or not, I in some cases it probably could be, but in most cases it's just cutting down on the if you're on this path now, just getting yourself off the path. I don't think I said in the beginning, but my background is in nursing home care and assisted living. And before I came to the Alzheimer's Association, and I can tell you that many times we saw people who came to our nursing home or assisted living, maybe from a hospital stay, maybe had a fall. We don't know why they fell. And then we end up in the nursing home with them. And we find out that the person wasn't eating right, wasn't taking their medications correctly, wasn't exercising because they were barely getting through the day. And so all these things sort of piled up on top of each other resulted in a fall and a hospital stay. And so a lot of times what we would see is we were almost like a nursing home where we could just feeding them 3 meals a day, giving their medications appropriately and on time and in the right dose, and helping them to, get out of bed safely and to learn safer habits, really almost did like a tune-up. And then the person was able to go back into the community. I bet visiting angels, it could be the same way. If you can just have that support where somebody's helping you with these things, that's reversible. And you could even have fallen and had a little dementia. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember where I live. I don't, and that could be reversed in a way where just because you're malnutritious, you had malnutrition, you just weren't on the right medications maybe and didn't take them appropriately.
Or forgot to take them. Yeah.
At
Mhm.
all. Yeah. And so those things, those habits can really pile up on each other. And I think in that case can really be reversed. Just getting the right nutrition can reverse a lot of signs of that you might have had dementia. Another thing, I say this in almost every program I have, infection can be something that presents dementia symptoms and can be reversible. So the big infection for the elderly is a UTI. Yeah. And so just treating your UTI, sometimes people can have a UTI and not even know it, believe it or not. When I've had them, I knew it. But there are times when
Yeah.
people don't even know it. And so just getting checked out and getting that infection cleared up can help and reverse dementia and reverse maybe a lot of other negative side effects.
And a great way to avoid a UTI is exactly as Susan said, is to stay hydrated. That is a big part of keeping your water intake up. That's something else that our caregivers are really tuned into. How hydrated are you? Yeah. It's interesting. That is why we are now, not to go into a pitch, but one of the things that we are just starting is this monitoring slash telehealth program. We call it Connected Care, where, yeah, you have care, maybe every day from 9 to 2, but what happens at 3 p.m. or at dinner time or whatnot? Well, with our program, your loved one gets a call, a couple times a week, and also gets a message once a day asking all these questions. Have you taken your medication? How are you feeling? Are you eating? Why didn't you eat? Are you feeling okay? Things of that nature, to head off these issues that can blow up and result in a fall, can result in nursing home stay, rehab stay, hospital stay, etc., and losing your independence. So
I
a
love that.
lot
I
of
love
things.
hearing that. That you're almost like a health coach then. You're really
Yes,
coaching. Yeah,
yes,
it's a
yep. We
great
have remote
service.
care coordinators, and that's exactly what they are. Yep.
What a great service. I'm glad you said that. I'd love to tell people
Brand
about
new.
that. Look for
Yeah,
that.
it's exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting.
All right, so I don't see any other questions. So let's see. Last chance for questions. Nothing in the Q&A. As usual, Sheila has done an extremely complete webinar for us. I really appreciate all of the information. And again, folks, if you need help at all, the Alzheimer's Association, I can't say enough about it. It is there. They are there for you. I think just about everything is free on their entire website.
It
Of
is,
course, yeah. Of course, if you need additional care in the home, I'm the girl to talk to. And you can find us by going to visitingangels.com/Gaithersburg. That's our main website. We have caregivers all over the metropolitan DC area, but that's also the office I work out of. And feel free to call me anytime and chat about your situation. Okay, so to wrap up, let me make sure no more questions. To wrap it up, next month we'll bring you 2 new webinars. We're going back to Wednesdays. We do them every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. and you will be notified. Of course, I thought I would write down the dates. I forgot to do that before this one, but trust me, you will know about it when we send out the recording link. We will definitely send out the date for our next get together. Thank you so much, Sheila. I can't wait to have you come back again.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It was great to be here.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Go move a little bit.
Yeah, go move and eat right.
Eat right.
Bye, you guys.